Have you ever been given an Excel sheet with a bunch of formulas and you were wondering how they derived these formulas and how the formulas were interconnected within the sheet? If you have, then watch closely because I'll show you how you can quickly and easily identify all of the formulas within an Excel sheet, how they were calculated, and which fields they were derived from. Okay, so first, let's just go through what we're actually seeing within this sheet. So this is the balance sheet for my imaginary coffee shop, which is called Moe's Coffee Beans. And we have the assets section, we have the liabilities section, and then we also have the common financial ratio section on the bottom. Now, to be able to actually understand how the formulas were derived and how the calculations in the formulas are used, we first need to identify the formulas. So luckily, Excel has a very easy way for us to do this. So if you go to the top here into the Formulas tab, we have the Show Formulas button to click on. So I'm just going to click on that. And then you can see that all of a sudden the formulas appeared. So if a cell has a formula, instead of displaying the actual value itself, it'll be displaying the formula itself. So we can see here that this is displaying some D6 to D10 in D11 here. But if I go back to show formulas and I untick it, then you see that in cell D11, now we have $11,874. So again, just quickly, Formulas tab, Show Formulas. You click on Show Formulas, and then Excel will show you all of the formulas instead of the cell values. And then again, if you go back, hit Show Formulas again, you untick it, and then it just goes back to the cell value itself. Now, another way you can identify all of the cells with the formulas within the Excel sheet is by hitting Control-G. And then after you hit Control-G, you go to Special, and you're presented with a bunch of options here. So if you pick the formulas bit, what's going to happen is that Excel will highlight all of the cells that contain formulas. There we go. And I can see that my cells have been highlighted here, here, so on and so forth, all the way to the bottom. So what I do and what I find really helpful is I just highlight these cells quickly. So I'm going to give it a yellow highlight, and that's it. We have the cells with formulas in there highlighted in yellow across the entire sheet here. So I will just hit Control-Z to undo this change, and we're back to the original state. Now, moving on to understanding cell dependencies, we need to be able to trace precedents and dependents. Luckily, Excel also has a very easy way to do this for us. So we go into Formulas, and then within the Formulas tab, we have Trace Precedents and Trace Dependents here. So I am going to click into, say, cell D17 here, which is 14,348, and then go to the top, and I'll hit Trace Precedents. And you see here that we have these arrows that appeared. So essentially, what this is saying is that these three cells, they trace into cell D17. Now we can press the shortcut F2, and I will do that. And we can see that by pressing F2, it brings up the formula equals sum D13 to D16. So we can see that indeed cell D13, D14, D15, and D16, they trace into this cell here, into cell D17, as D17 just sums up the four cells above it. Now, staying on D17, let's go to the top again, and we can press Trace Dependents now. So I will do that, and then we can see that cell D17 actually is used in cell D23 here. So again, pressing shortcut F2 will check the formula here in cell D23, so F2. And then we can see that cell D23 is the sum of D11, D17, and D21. So cell D17 here indeed traces into cell D23. We also have the option to play around with the arrows. So if we go to the top here, you see the Remove Arrows section. I will click into the drop-down list here, and you see that we're presented with three options. We can remove all of the arrows, or we can remove the precedent arrows only, or we can remove the dependent arrows. So in our case, how about I just remove the dependent arrows, and we can see that the bottom arrow here disappeared. And this is how easy it is to trace the dependents and the precedents for a certain cell. But we can just test it for another one for demonstration purposes. So how about we pick that ratio here, the field that is equal to 0.56. So I'll go in here, remember again, Formulas tab, and then Trace Precedents. There we go. And then we can see that actually this is traced through quite a couple places. So we have many, many cells involved in this calculation. You can hit F2 to actually just see the formula. And then we can see that all this is saying is that if cell D23 up here is equal to 0, then do nothing. So give me nothing. Otherwise, give me D33 plus D38 divided by D23. And this is how we get to 0.56. And then let's stay on this cell. So cell D48, I'm going to go up here to trace dependence now. I click on it, and we can see that Excel actually tells us the trace dependence command found no formulas that refer to the active cell. So this is pretty simple. All it's saying is that it's got no dependence. If you found this content useful, then a sub to my channel would be great. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.